the conversation between himself and the foreign minister on the round table, authorities should hold accountable any of those responsible for human rights abuses. We know that Americans, doesn't tolerate human rights abuses, but the question a lot of Nigerians are asking is, how come America now has removed Nigeria from one of the countries that doesn't have tolerance with religion, especially with so many killings that have taken place in the country since this government came on board, and ever since America included Nigeria in that particular list. So I'm going to come back again to you in the studio, and then we can review that because that is very, very important, especially, like I said, one person coming to the Africa can has a lot of changes, especially as Nigeria election is getting closer. A lot of people are also skeptical about this kind of visit as well.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. That was Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Let me quickly say good morning to Mr. Frank Davids.
Yeah, Archie, good morning and good morning. Olayomi, how are you doing? Our listeners, our viewers.
Good morning to you, Frank.
How's the family?
They're doing very well. It's very good to be seeing you as well. We don't know where you were yesterday, but I'm sure you were busy with a lot of work on Starr Radio UK.
I was running around,
Somebody say you're being well. Hope you are doing well, Frank.
I'm doing great.
Great. Just a quick one. Now we have the U.S. Secretary of State Blinken, who is touring Africa. Now he went to Nigeria. Now we know that Nigeria, up to now, they're talking about religious tolerance, and that thing is not there. We have had various group of people in various places who have been, whether killed and all that is going on. But I think that the Secretary of State came to Nigeria and said, "Oh, Nigeria has been taken off that list." So what has gone on? Have you seen any change yourself?
Actually, yeah, as much as we acknowledge the troubles that are in Nigeria, we look at the northern part of it, predominantly. There's a large section of Nigeria, a large section of Nigeria that when we talk of religious freedom, you do not see people in the south, for instance, or southwest, going after Muslims within their community to say that you are a Muslim and you cannot practice over here. You take Olayomi, for instance, family, they are not from the north. They are from the southern part of Nigeria. They are Muslims. And I've never heard Olayomi say that probably there was an evangelical church close to him coming to say, because we Christians, we are predominantly here, we do not want a Muslim in that area. What we do know is that in the north, Christians are subjected to some of this. And again, you look at it, it is not what the northerners, a lot of northerners want, but there's a group of people who we all know are criminals and again terrorize even the northerners themselves, who go about, committing some of these atrocities, killing, beheading, and burning churches and other things. Yes, it's still trouble, but we cannot have a trouble-free world. We do not have it anyway. So putting that name, putting that on that list, will mean invariably that you basically blacklisting the whole of Nigeria. But I do believe there are travel advices, because those things are there to help guide people when they're traveling. It's also to help guide business people when they want to, when they're looking for arms sales for business. We do know, however, that because of the report, the US is taking a different tone, singing a different tone when it comes to arms sales to the Nigerian authorities, that they will now start controlling
arms embargo.
So it's a mixed reaction that is coming. You cannot blacklist the whole country.
Thank you very much, Frank. Did Blinken say anything about the arms embargo?
Well, like I said, the arms embargo, which a lot of Nigerians, remember that Nigerian government was sold a Tucano from America, and they've literally said those Tucano must not be used, especially in the southeast, where there's a lot of military activities presently. It has to be focused where it is meant to be, which is in another part of the country where there's ravage of terrorist, activities as we speak right now. The arms embargo is something that we'll have to wait and see. But the U.S. President Joe Biden administration has repeatedly said advocating for the human right and working to improve democracy around the world is the heart of his foreign policy, which is the reason why he has come down to Nigeria, even though critics have said promoting human rights often take a backseat to preserving national security priorities. Buhari, in the first official government comment on the substance of the damning report, told Blinken that his administration would take a lead from the state government, which commissioned the report that we talked about in terms of the panel. So the federal government have waited to the step taken by the state before they can do anything. But the U.S. Department said Blinken and Buhari discussed Nigerian security challenges and noted the importance of reinforcing the democratic principle of what we call free press, which is not available in Nigeria, digital freedom. Twitter has been banned in Nigeria, peaceful protesters, they were killed last year, and this year when they wanted to remember them, we also what happened, and the dissident, as well as respect for human rights. Nigeria doesn't have respect for human rights, and there's no doubt about that. But the shootings ended weeks of the nation protest. So Blinken 3-nation African trip started in Kenya, where he reiterated for unconditional release of ceasefire in Ethiopia, conflict and appeal for return to civilian democracy in Sudan. Yesterday, I had one of the DG of a particular institution was also talking about there might be a coup in Nigeria because Nigeria is not immune to that as well, looking at the incident happening in other African countries. I'll see if I can get his name out.
Okay. Whilst you're doing that, let me say good morning to Adiba Yomayube. It's a good day all. He's saying that Nigerian leaders will be polishing lies before the American visitor presently in Nigeria.
100%. But you see, let me remind him of the saying that you do not wash your dirty linen in public.
Especially when you have visitors.
Yeah, that is why you will see that when a minister is even visiting the village, you see the district chief executive of the local authority, when there are potholes over there, they manage to fill it up. When Buhari is traveling to somewhere now, you see where the government, that's where you see their bulldozer and the graders, all at work. Sometimes they work all night. They work throughout the Niger trying to fill those so that organ does not see that as a problem. And actually, to some extent, that is part of our problem because we tell ourselves lies. Because if, for instance, the president who has the final say when it comes to some of these things is visiting a community, and we use, just like my brother said, we are polishing lies. The road over there is as bad as it can be. Today, the president wants to travel and now we're going somewhere. Bless him, he's not flying today. But what we're trying to do then is to go and fill those potholes, make sure that the road is neat. So that when the minister goes back to them, we've done this, so they know why I travel on it, the other day was good. I travel on it. So we basically lead. That is the same thing we're doing for the USDC. Have you ever seen them take? They will not think they're doing about.
No.
They will shut them
in Azor Rock and say, "This is a place. This is Nigeria here." Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. We still have Mr. Olayomi Koiki with us. That was Frank. Okay, send your comments in as Mayungi has said. I say, is Nigerian government are fond of making carefully constructed lies.
That's all politicians. Most African politicians. In fact, politicians in general do lie, but African politicians, that's one of their hobbies.
Well, of course, we have Lion Muhammad, so what do you expect? All right, then let's go to Yomi for some of the other stories. Over to you, Yomi.
Thank you very much once again for those of you that have joined us from around the globe, and it is still Starr Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. It's exactly 22 minutes past 11 a.m. and now we will touch on some of the other headlines coming out of Nigeria. There was a group of people that came out yesterday to try to disown the leader of the Yoruba movement campaign known as Professor Banji Akintoye. But yesterday, the leader came out to, say that it seems the federal government of Nigeria has now been able to penetrate among some of the members that have been taking money through the back channels. So that, ignite a lot of conversation throughout the last 24 hours, where there was meeting upon meeting from different parts of the group around the world, and there were people issuing all kind of statements to back, the leader that they believe is the one. This particular group also criticized, Chief Sunday IGBOHO, that he wasn't listening, while they were trying to speak to him, and then also. But this was part of the release from part of the other groups of the same, support for Ilana Omoodua. So this is the coming from Ilana Omoodua, Canada and America, US, North America. The attention of Ilana Omoodua, Canada and the US has been drawn to the recent press conference by Otumba Folashade Olukoya and a group. All of us at Ilana, North America, Canada and US, support unequivocally, unanimously state that we unanimously reject and condemn the actions of Otumba Folashade Olukoya and a group. That Otumba Folashade Olukoya and a group do not represent the opinion of all the members of Ilana Omoodua North America. That Professor Banji Akintoye is the de facto Alano of Yoruba land and the leader of Ilana Omoodua worldwide. We recognize the importance of Oloye Sunday Adeyemo IGBOHO and his role in this Yoruba self-determination movement. We express undivided loyalty to Professor Banji Akintoye, Wale Adeniran, Oloye Sunday IGBOHO, and all leaders who are genuinely advocating for the freedom of the Yoruba people. We want to salute our father, the Alana, for his leadership and his great place. So you can see that 2023 is already generating a lot. It seems, according to some groups, that some might have been paid by the federal government to now come in and destabilize the movement. Let's go straight to some of the other headlines as well. Then I'll come back to you in the studio 25 minutes past. Remember to follow us on Twitter on Starr Radio UK. Ogun State Assembly orders Nollywood actor arrest for parading himself as a monarch. Quite a lot happening in Nigeria. Also, prophet raped 8-month pregnant lady during a private deliverance session. What a very sad story coming from that particular headline. But let's see if we can get a little bit more from that headline, and then I'll come back to you to some of the other headlines as well. So this is actually happening somewhere in Ondo State. A self-acclaimed prophet, Festus James, has been arrested by the men of Ondo State Police Command for allegedly raping a woman with 8-month pregnancy. The suspect was said to have committed the offense at Agadu community in Odigbo, local government area of the state, parading the suspect at the command headquarters in Akure, the state capital, on Thursday yesterday. The police public relations officer, Mrs. Fumilayo Odulami, said James had carnal knowledge of the woman under the pretext of performing spiritual deliverance for her. So we can only say that we hope justice will be served. Let's go to the other headline. Ohaize attacked DSS over Nnamdi Kanu detention and lawyers alleged torture. According to the leader of the Apex Igbo Social Cultural Organization, Ohaize Indigbo, has condemned the condition the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is being subjected in the detention facility of the Department of the State Service. Kanu's counsel, Aloy Ejimako and Ifeanyi Ejiofor, had alleged in the statement that were released yesterday that Kanu condition at the DSS cell amount to torture. They said any detained who encountered and greeted Kanu during the 1 hour is allowed outside the cell is promptly put in a solitary confinement as a punishment for exchanging mere greetings with him. The IPOB Council said till date, the DSS has denied Kanu repeat requests for an independent medical examination to determine the extent of damage done to his body by a suspected substance he may have been injected with during his adoption during that extraordinary rendition. So there's a lot of pressure as we continue to monitor that as well. So I'm going to take one more, come back again to you in the studio. Once again, it is still your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, It is Star Radio UK. You can join us every Monday to Sunday with all different programs from around the globe as well. National Assembly committed to reduction of poverty among Nigerians. We hope that is going to be possible, especially with the term of this government running very, very low. Nigeria, as it stands today, remains the capital poverty of the world, and the reason for that is all kind of atrocity, terrorism, inflation that is also happening in the country as well. Lawmakers admonish Nigeria to embark on agriculture. How is agriculture going to work when more Nigerians are running away from their farms because of the terrorists that has literally now enraged across the land as well? I come now to you in the studio. It is Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, a few stories that is put across. I'm coming back on it in a moment. But Amaya Ajirigene says that the world is made up of three people: the whites, the blacks, and Nigerians. So I think you need to come back and tell me what you mean by that. Are you talking about Nigerian politicians? What are you talking about there? Well, it's quite an
interestingly, it's Nigerian eye color.
Yeah.
Because it's the white,
the black, and Nigeria.
So which color is Nigeria?
Green. That's the flag of Nigeria. Interesting. But let's come to the infiltration of the Odua. I mean, we have when there is this saying that divide and rule, and that is one of the policies that our colonial masters used. Yeah. So whenever, like Ghana wanted independence, and then they would try to infiltrate one of the opposition, and then you see that you have one side saying yes, others are saying no, it's not time. Let's chill out. Let's do that. So if the Odua people group, okay, let me put it that way, don't sit up and try to, have that unity of mind, then I think that that fight that they are fighting is going to take a very, very long time.
That's why that's taking long anyway. Because at the end of the day, actually, may I just say that it's not everyone who is or who is from Yoruba that wants a separation.
Yeah,
it's not everyone that wants it. People want different things. If you look at Obasanjo, for instance, he was from Yoruba. He was a Yoruba man. The question is, when he ascended into the throne, what did he do? If you ask Obasanjo today, does he want Yoruba nation?
He's spoken against it. He's spoken against it a few times.
It's not. So at the end of the day, expect that some people from within will oppose it. Coming from the same family doesn't mean to share the same vision of how our future should be. And again, those who are championing that cause must understand, even security services get a bit of infiltration. So you cannot be organizing something like the NS and expect that no one should infiltrate you. That's why you need to wear the worst case scenarios. So in case we have half of us today, or people who used to march of us, let's assume we are marching to the gate of Azara, and we are saying that when we get there, half of the people, although we planned that when we go, we also submit a petition to say that, okay, we want an Oduduwa nation. If we get there, and half of the people we are marching with, although they might have also joined the chorus, joined the petition they submitted. Probably the sign is don't grant it. Don't grant it. What will be our second strategy? Because you always will expect that people
infiltration will take place.
So that's plan B. And if you're planning, you always have to plan B.
Let me ask you a quick one. I know that you speak sometimes for the Odua group. Now, do you or have you ever maybe consulted locals or the people in that area to find out that maybe a population of, let's say, maybe you have a population of 2 million, okay, for example. Now, you've done your own groundwork and you can say emphatically that, look, we have about 1.8 of them who support this cause. Have you done that?
Well, and that is where, that word is the acclamation. The acclamation is about that force majeure, the constitutional force majeure that started about a year ago. In another 1 month from now, it will be 1 year. So, the engagement has continued, and a lot of people continue with that engagement. But the question is, you could see that engagement was literally stopped on the 1st of July when the invasion of Chief Sunday Igboho's house. The reason for that is, this was a man that was going out with a campaign with millions of Nigerians from around the globe monitoring the situation, whether they agree with him or not. But the government were not really pleased with the kind of crowd, in terms of the message that he was taking with him, into those communities as well. I remember, his visit to Ekiti State, some of the kings did not even allow him, a kind of a courtesy conversation. They were literally not, he was at the Atauja, in one of the palaces in Ekiti State, and he was told literally that the king was not available, even though we know that the king is right inside there. But if he was a politician, the king would have literally accepted the politician. And as an example, there was an audio that was released yesterday by, part of those that are campaigning for this, that, the current Ooni of Ife should not use this time to talk about, the fix of the road to some of these politicians. What they want now is 61 years of failure. Enough is enough. Who is Ooni of Ife? You did ask yesterday, who is Sultan of Sokoto? These are the kind of people that have the say that would have probably turned this movement around. The Ooni of Ife last couple of weeks said, according to him in an interview, that we want Chief Sunday Igboho, according to after my visit to President Muhammadu Buhari, but he wasn't listening because he had so many advisors out there. So you could see that the conversation of the Yoruba is not just between the elite, it's between the grassroots, and it's between the federal government of Nigeria as well, and the traditional rulers.
Okay. We hope to see. I mean, if you are fighting the cause, I mean, at least if you have majority of you siding with the mission, then you are sure that you can have victory at the end of it. Though the infiltration at times throw some spanner in the work, but hey, we'll go on from there. But now let's look at Kano's detention. Let me put it that way, and that of Sunday Igboho as well in Benin. Now, saying that when people visit Kano, he's put in what is it, isolation, or what the term that you use? Yeah. And is that the norm? Is that what the DSS does, or this is just call it punishment or torture?
Well, again, it still goes back to part of if the secretary Blinken visit to to Nigeria was able to emphasize on the human rights abuses. I mean, yes, even if a criminal has been picked up, he still have his right until he's found guilty. But it's the other way around in Nigeria. We have this impunity that takes place between some of these authorities, especially like the DSS, that believes that they are more powerful than even the institution like the judiciary. And yes, Nnamdi Kanu is still in their in their care, but they've been maltreated and not given the proper care. Just like the 12 innocent people that were picked up from Chief Sunday Igboho's house. You need to listen and hear some of their experience. Part of those that are still being held, not that particular group, we are told that people are still in the DSS custody 3 years, 4 years, and they've never seen the surface of the court. If you just take my camera off, I need to quickly check.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, listeners, Starr Radio UK, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki just turning around quickly. Now, Frank, when it comes to Sunday Igboho, who is in Benin, now, is there some agreement of a sort where political prisoners, okay, or represent the people who are representing a group of people, and because of that, they've been apprehended and put in custody?
Yeah,
do we have some agreement? That they are not tortured. I mean, they are treated fairly. Do we have anything of the sort in some region?
You might not have specific agreements for that, but the young human rights ought to be respected. Now, the only difference between someone who is a leader is that the course of following, the course of the person's role that he played. If anything goes wrong with him, you basically are offending or basically triggering a process that might be larger than you.
Yeah.
And again, unless they have this UN protection, there are some people who now are subjects for UN protection, in which case, when you arrest them, you basically trending on dangerous ground, because their lives are in danger already. They've sought a bit of protection, and diplomatically, they are respected as such. They are known as this is an endangered species. This is someone who, I mean, enemies after the person. Therefore, granting all the necessary help that you can. But apart from that, then what you rely on is largely what they call it, their human rights.
I hope that maybe one day we'll have a chat with somebody from the UN to find out how people who seem, I mean, because you take Sunday or you take Nnamdi Kanu now, you know that their lives are under threat, and therefore they need that cover, that protection. But as to the process, how they come by that, I'm not very sure of that. But if you're listening to us, maybe you have information as to how people like that are fighting a worthy cause for not themselves, not being selfish, but fighting for their communities, how they can get that kind of cover protection.
And again, you're gonna look at certain countries that you cannot go to. For instance, if I take a case of my friend, he should be in Ghana next 2 weeks. Ebenezer. Ebenezer wouldn't want to go to Nigeria. I mean, Ebenezer will not go to Nigeria because, I mean, there's a case, for example, where those who are fighting the same cause as he believes in were actually arrested and handed back over
to the Cameroonian authorities.
I would not want anyone who is fighting or a leading member of Yoruba to visit Ghana as we speak. Why? Because there's evidence that the Ghanaian government has actually arrested some Nigerians, has not been able to account for them, and some of us believe that they are illegally be taken back to Nigeria against their will. Not on the grounds of breaching immigration rules, but on the grounds that they are being wanted, or probably they are political activists working against. So I wouldn't advise anyone. And if anything at all, Kenya is also another example that we can look at. Now you take a Conga, for example, he traveled to he comes here, Vatican, he traveled to South Africa. They are friendly countries that you can go to. They respect a bit of law. But I mean, he traveled to Ghana because Ghana and Cameroon, we do not have anything. We do not have anything. But when you take the issue of Nigeria, Akufo-Addo and Buhari are close pals, bedfellows.
Folks.
If the romance, they actually enjoy romance. So you're not going to run there thinking that will be safe, because from the head of the government, they actually are against you, and they seem to be working on behalf of their friend.
Well, listeners, it's Starr in the UK. Let's quickly touch on this story. The 8-month woman who has been raped by a pastor, a prophet, sort of. And when I see such stories, I tell myself all the time, now, when you fail to know God for yourself, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whatever, if you fail to know God for yourself, but you want to depend on people, that is what happens, because they become your God, and whatever they say.
And rape is rape. Rape is a rape. Rape is crime. Whether he's a pastor or not, he's committed crime. But one would have expected that someone who shepherds a lot of people within a community, or someone people look up to. There are some villages that you go, once you're a pastor, you see next to God. Your status comes even before the headmaster. Because these are the pastor, the headmaster, and the doctor in that village. If you say Cocoa family area, then the agric extension officer is like the person who man the cocoa weighing office. So these are the people you're looking at. So if you're a pastor within that community and people look up to you to a large extent, and you go to abuse your position, and we've heard a lot of them say, God says, God says, God says. It's unfortunate we kind of pushing some of these spiritual, but again, the Bible message, in my view, the Bible says we should test us. We should actually test them. And for me, that again means that we should be testing what they are saying, and we should be pushing them. So, I mean, like you said, people must be able to understand that God who says we should respect the rulers? And if the rulers have declared that something is criminal, I mean, by power vested onto them, they've actually heard and oversee the criminal codes and other things, and they are saying this is a crime, rape is a crime. I mean, even probably you are married or say premarital or postmarital sex is unconstitutional. How will you? How will you take it? That you are a woman, you go to a pastor, especially if you are married, and or let's assume you are even not married, okay? And the pastor tells you that God says that I need to take the demons out of you by having intercourse with you. Your Bible first says that if you are married, what do you call it? It's against the Bible.
Yeah.
If you are not married again, so why will you give in to that? Why don't you ask a person? But the Bible says, the Bible through which you claim God has spoken to you, says in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18, that fornication is right. And it also says in the Bible that idolatry. So how can the same God? Then the God is confused.
The prophet
So we should get to a point where people should be able to examine some of these criminals who actually, cover themselves with white robes.
They will use the same Bible. Can I tell you that? You don't question.
No, but the Bible says them. So people, I really don't understand it. Unfortunately now, most of our people, we are either Muslims or we are Christians, and to some extent, especially women, there are more Christian fundamentalists who are women than any other. Women are so fundamentalist once it comes to a pastor says this. Look, they can even come home and slap you because the pastor says slap my husband, slap the demon out of him. You know?
Well, listeners. Well, let the conversation go on, but that is a very sad story. And I say, an 8 months pregnant woman. How? What do you see?
It's occultism. How? It's occultism. That's occultism.
Jesus.
That woman is special deliverance. She needs to speak to God.
Serious.
Frank have said it all. Frank have said it all. In the past 1 year, we've seen so much atrocity. Let me give you another instance of another case that is still pending somewhere in Southwest in Ibadan, where an MBA, a young man of 37 with a wife and 3 children was studying at one of the university in Nigeria, and decided to take a MBA program in one of the universities. I'm trying to bring that story up to see if we can get a bit of a background to the MBA man that was killed. So literally what has happened is we now find out that this man was killed, wrapped, and then his mobile phone was taken, and this particular hotel has dotted almost every information around him in terms of his lodging into that hotel. So what am I trying to say is there's so much crime happening now. We've seen, bodies being disarmed, and the man was asked. This is another story where the young man was asked, where is the head of the body? And he said the head is at home and the remaining part of the body is somewhere in the bush. These are happening in Nigeria, and this tends to happen more as the election is getting closer.
Rituals. Well, listeners, it's all Starr Radio UK. I'm just from Nigeria. The time now is 11:47. We'll go to Mr. Olayomi Koiki for some of the other stories and what is happening on the social media platform. Over to you,
Yomi. It's going to go straight to social media. Lekki massacre. Over 73,000 people have now signed a petition to jail one person, President Muhammadu Buhari. That is a petition that is currently trending on the social media. A petition by a social political activist Reno Omokere against President Muhammadu Buhari over alleged massacre of the NSAS protester at the Lekki toll gate during the October 2020 protest has now received over 73,000 signatures, and that will be held here in UK when it's exactly 100,000, as we know. Recall that this, so this is part of what is happening and trending mostly on the social media this morning. There's another one that I've seen here, and this just reminds us back to when the campaign was going on. It says not for sale. It's got three sections. One section has got the granite, the other section has got the sugar, and at the bottom it's got the gari, and it has it here APC, Buhari and Osibajo. And I think this was part of their campaign then in 2015, and I'm sure it says this idiot actually told Nigerians their plans from the beginning, according to the story on top of it as well. There's another one here as well. This happened in Emirate Lodge close to Arusu Lodge in somewhere in Igawa in the Federal University of Technology, Owerri. Students came out to make sure it wasn't an unlawful detain. So we see a lot of officer that goes into the institution, try to arrest those students, but I can tell you with engagement with some of those that we've spoken to, when the officer are broke, that is when they come down to the university dormitory to harass, extort some of the students, and then they go away with smile in their face as well. So we take the last one, and world most pressure youth are Nigerians, according to this report. According to the report that we have here says, world most pressure youth are Nigerians. A new report by United Nations Children Fund has revealed that Nigerian youth feel the most pressure to succeed globally. A new report, the report titled Changing Childhood Project, was conducted by UNICEF in conjunction with Gallup ahead of the November 20 Children's Day celebration. Under it, it says, Nigerian children and youth adults were increasingly under the most pressure to succeed globally, even with limited opportunity and support from the government. Star Radio UK, I come back now to you in the studio. I'm told now that the petition will hit 100,000. Well, okay, the petition will hit 100,000 just before December, and I'm sure the Parliament will have to discuss that in the new year.
Yes, and that is the bit that I wanted to touch on, the petition. Now, do we have in our parliaments here in Ghana, in Nigeria, and on West, call it on the African Parliament, where when maybe like here we have petition when somebody does a petition and it reaches 100 signatories, and then government has to say, do we have anything of the sort in our constitution?
I don't know categorically the number, but I do know that petitions can be submitted to parliaments in Africa as well. That is why, let's take this bill, for instance, that is being proper human and sexual. The public sitting that started last week before it was suspended, a lot of people petitioned on different grounds, and Parliament is bound to be able to consider some of those issues raised. When someone is again going to be vetted, announcement is made, and the public is also again invited to submit petition or whatever, any other thing that we have about it. But I do not know where, I don't know whether we have a specific, over here, there's a deliberate decision that has been taken that the process must be independent, must not rely on someone's basically today my girlfriend angered me and therefore the signatures are this and then I'm allowing it to go. Tomorrow the signatures are this. No, there must be that if you're launching a petition to the UK Parliament, you can have 100,000 signatures. Most often, most of these people should be residents of the UK. Don't go and bring 100,000 signatures from Afghanistan, Ghana, Ethiopia, and think that they should come and debate in Parliament. Most of them, that's why you need their email addresses over there. If you can demonstrate that that 100,000 petition, most of them will are resident in the UK, then you earn that privilege to be able to have your petition heard.
Yomi, do you have that in Nigeria?
Well, you're meant to have it, but again, not working to expectation.
You can have 1 million, 20 million petition, nothing will happen. That is Africa for you. Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. That is Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. Okay, Yomi, before you go.
Don't go anywhere because you still have Frank and Archie to take you through the remaining segment of the program. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles. But the best way to send money home is using SendWaves. And remember to use the code S for Star, R for Radio. You can also check us on our website, www.starradiouk, where you can find everything you need to know about all the programs coming around over this weekend. From my side, I'll be back again on Monday. But if you're in Nigeria, stay safe. And if you're traveling within the intercity, make sure you're not traveling on a very late trip because of the insecurity in the country. Have a very good afternoon. Good morning from this side of the globe.
Yes, good afternoon and good morning to you, Mr. Olayomi Koiki. Thank you very much for that wonderful update. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bringing the time down to 7 minutes to the top of the hour. We're going to take a break. Once we come back, we'll look at some of the stories making the rounds here in the UK and other parts of the world. And at 12:30, we'll be having our money